Vortex, I'm about to do my favorite thing in the world. Do you know what my favorite thing in the world is? Are you an Amy Gross super fan? Are y'all familiar with SNL from the early 90s? Bill Swerski's Superfans. I think that's what it was. No, Bob. His name was Bob. Bob. I think. If I'm getting it right. It's been a while since I watched that show. But that was a good show, like, a long time ago. This political correctness screwed it all up. They let me go. Thank you. Love you. Thank you for letting me go. I really like you, old man. You're a good person. I wish I could thank you in other ways. Yeah, SNL had some really good comedy sketches. Very memorable characters. And you know, that's what makes life worth living. And I'm really glad that I spent the better part of my 20s self-destructing, because when you self-destruct, you have to have a really good soundtrack for that. And you know, if I didn't have that part of me, I don't think that I would be as wise about the scripture and the crucifixion and the Trinity. Like, I don't think that that would register the way that it does now. And there are plenty of people that are very wise and have a very close relationship with God that, you know, didn't debase themselves or, you know, get addicted to a bunch of shit and destroy their life. But I think that the fact that I did all that, and I can still get into heaven. I mean, hopefully. But yeah, the fact that I'm still allowed to even go to church, and I can still participate in all these things. It just means the entire world to me, man. And I do remember distinctly, you know, thinking this repeatedly when I was shoplifting and having sex with random people and lying to myself so that I could keep that lifestyle going. I remember thinking, well, you know, eventually I'm gonna turn to Jesus. Eventually I'm gonna have a completely different life, and this is gonna be a thing of the past. And maybe I was joking at the time. Maybe I was just saying that so that I could rationalize behaving like that. But the fact that I had faith in that, okay, I need to self-destruct for a while. Right now I gotta steal some shit, you know? Right now I gotta drink this whole bottle of vodka. But eventually I'm gonna find Christ. Well, that's kind of how my reward system is. Because most people have a reward system like, you do this, this, and this, then you get the reward. I will reward myself before I do this, this, and this. I'm still that way. Getting sober didn't stop that. But that's why I gave up coffee for Lent, because that's such a huge part of my routine. I was gonna drive all the way out to Franklin, which is like 30 minutes out of my way, to go to the grocery store. Also, I could buy a cold brew. Like, only Laura knows how much I love my cold brews. But yeah, I haven't had one in 40 days and 40 nights, motherfucker. Because that's how much I love God. Okay? But really, though, it just absolutely amazes me, like, the stuff that I've complained about all throughout my life. Like, when I think about the crucifixion, it really puts everything into perspective. It's like, don't complain. Don't complain. Don't you bitch about people being mean to you, or people being wrong, people being stupid, people being pathetic. You know, it's like, there are so many things that Christ endured, and there's so many things that the saints endured that, you know, hopefully we won't have to endure. But, you know, my whole life I have definitely been tormented, and I think it is because, like, I'm very close to God, and I've always been. When I was a child, I talked to God like He was right there in front of me. Nobody taught me about God, you know. This country wasn't anywhere near as satanic as it is now, but we still weren't praying in school or anything like that. So, you know, my parents never took me to church. I didn't grow up with any kind of religion at all. In fact, if I wanted to go to church, you know, my parents didn't want me to go because apparently my brother had a negative experience going to, like, a Church of Christ. And so they became convinced that every church was like that. And so they didn't want me going to church. And I would keep Bibles. Like, people would give me Bibles. I would never read them, but I'd just keep them. So obviously, like, I had that faith. So it was a seed. It was a seed that I was waiting to water. Because you're the one that has to water the seed. That's nobody else's responsibility. And that's what people don't understand. Like, evangelical people, they don't get that. That the only thing that you can do is plant the seed. It is up to that person to water it. And if they don't feel so compelled to do that, they ain't going to do that. And typically, what motivates a person to water that seed is heartache, disillusion. You know, for me, it was the world, you know, actively destroying itself. But, you know, it's like if I hadn't self-destructed, I wouldn't be on the path that led me to stand-up comedy, that led me to Christianity. And the more that I reflect on it, I really don't think it has anything to do with politics. Because I've always been a controversial person. Because I've always been politically incorrect. Now, if you pay attention to society, you know that political correctness is nor left or right. It just is. Anytime that the general public goes along with something, that something is politically correct. So if you don't go along with that something, you are politically incorrect, therefore wrong. Okay? And that's how society will see you. And it doesn't matter about morality or anything like that. Because society has proven time and time again that they don't give a flying fuck about that. Okay? It's all about being accepted by society. It's all about being given the okay. Given the check mark, you know? People nodding their heads in agreement. whether they really agree or not. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, once you realize that about society, it's like there's really like no point in being concerned as to what they think of you. Because their metrics are of the world. My metrics are not of the world. And so it really didn't matter if I was Christian or not. I mean, hence, you know, why I was a thief and a drunk. It's like, I didn't care. Like, you can put limits on me. I don't give a fuck about your limits. I'm gonna do what I want. You know? Because I have faith that eventually I'll do what I'm supposed to do. According to God, not according to the world. I mean, the world can say that stealing is wrong, but do they really feel that way? I mean, does the government feel that way? I think not!